Welcome to our Congregation Connect training on reporting, part 2. So today we're going to look at matrix reports, conditional formatting, report charts, cross filters, and bucketing in Congregation Connect. Matrix reports allow you to group and summarize data into rows and columns. So this is helpful when you need to report on multiple data points or compare data. In the screenshot, you can see that we have all open balances in the last fiscal year. They are grouped by designation and by fiscal quarter. You can use this for financial reports, or if you had a specific fundraising initiative, different fiscal years or fiscal quarters, etc. So matrix reports, again, it allows you to group and summarize data into rows and columns, and we will go over this in a moment. Now, we also have conditional formatting in Congregation Connect, where you can highlight report values under certain conditions. For example, designations that have a balance. Here you can see I've highlighted only if there is a relevant balance. Report charts in Congregation Connect serve as a quick visual representation of the data contained in those reports. So every report can have a report chart. And here in the screenshot, you can see I've used the exact same report, but you can just more easily see and visualize the data that's contained in that report with the report chart. You'll see when we're in the system, if I were to click on one of these bars, the report will filter down the data, and we can see that more closely in just a moment. So let's take a look at all this in our system. Here I am in Congregation Connect. I'm going to go to my reports tab in the top. And let's create a new report. I'm going to click on new report. And let's do an invoices with transactions and designations report. Invoices, transactions, designations. Let's take a look at fiscal year payments to date. And let's say that we want to filter on the fiscal year. We'll filter to payments and we want to see it by designation and fiscal quarter. So we will select the amount paid and the posted values to account for any refunds, etc. So here's my new report. I'm going to go over here under outline. I'm going to remove some of these columns. Let's say we just want the account name. And let's remove some more of these. Let's add the transaction number. Let's add the designation name. Notice that I'm going to select the designation name under transaction info here. I'm going to add the date of the transaction. So again, I'm going down to transaction info, and I'm going to select the date under there. Let's also add the amount of the transaction. As well as the posted amount. Now, under filters up here, let's filter. Well, we are going to show all invoices. Remember, this filter should be the most expansive one, which it is, all invoices. So let's say the close date, we're going to change this filter to the transaction date. So transaction date. And let's say it equals the current fiscal year. And under invoice status, we'll keep this as any, keep probability as all. Let's also filter by transaction type. And let's say it equals posted payment. And let's apply that filter. So we said that we want to group by designation and by fiscal quarter here. So in order to do that, I'm going to my outline. Here you see we have group rows up here. So if I want to group by designation, I'm going to add designation under group rows. So designation name, let's click on that. And we've now grouped these rows by designation name. Here it also asks me if I want to group by columns as well. So I can enter a column name here, or I can simply go to the column that I want to filter by or group by. And I can click on this little drop down arrow. So I do want to group the columns by date. I'm going to click the drop down arrow here, and you see I have the option to group columns by this field. So if I click on that, it has now grouped the columns by date. If I wanted to group the columns by fiscal quarter, then I can now select this drop down arrow on the date column, and I can group the date by fiscal quarter if I'd like to, instead of the individual date that you see displayed here. So I'll click fiscal quarter. You see we only have one fiscal quarter to display here, but that's how you would do that. Now let's just notice down here the toggles at the bottom of the screen that are displayed here. I currently have row counts on. If I remove this, you'll see my row counts are removed. I'll keep that on. The detail rows, you'll see this displayed here. These are the details of each row. If I turn that off, then that disappears. I have a grand total displayed here for my columns and my rows. I could turn this off or leave it on. And I have stacked summaries on. If I turn it off, then my view changes as well. So I'll leave that on. And if I wanted to save this report, then my toggle selection would save as well. Let's take a quick look at conditional formatting. So this box here in the bottom right corner is conditional formatting. So if I click on this box, you'll see that I can add a conditional formatting rule. Here, I can apply conditional formatting to, let's say, sum of posted amount. I can enter a range here. So if I say less than or equal to, let's say 0, I want no background color. I select none, click done. Let's say 0 to 100. I can select my background color. Let's say I want green. Let's say greater than 100, I want yellow. And if I click done here, this conditional formatting rule will be applied when I click apply. And here you see it's highlighted the values as I have applied that conditional formatting rule. Also, I can add a chart. So up here at the top right corner, I can click on add chart. Here's my preview of my chart. And this gear icon in the top right corner allows me to access the chart properties. So if I click on the gear icon, you can see these are my options here. I can display this as a bar chart. I can select column to change the display. I can choose stacked bars or columns, a donut, lines, etc. I could add a title to my chart. I can change the y-axis or the what I want displayed on either axis, if I want it by date or designation name. And I have the x-axis down here, let's say sum of posted amount, and you can play with this as well. So this is how I would make a chart. And you see you can customize this as you would like to. So that is how I would do matrix reporting. We saw how we could group by rows and columns. We saw the conditional formatting in the bottom right corner here, and we saw how to add a chart to this report. And remember, if you wanted to save the report, you can click the Save button. Now let's go back to our slide deck. And let's take a moment to look at cross filters. So cross filters in Congregation Connect allow you to filter on child objects that are not included in the report. You cannot display the child object data in the report. You can only filter on it. So you can create cross filters with or without a child object. For example, you could use the invoices and transactions report to see all accounts billed for membership along with the billing information. But what if you wanted to create a report of active accounts that were not billed? You can use a cross filter on that. Cross filters are often used for data cleanup by looking for records that do or do not have X child records. So for example, we can look at with or without related record reports. So accounts without contacts, with or without child objects, accounts with contacts not equal to contact one, or accounts without contacts not equal to contact one. And this will all make a little more sense when we look at it in our system. So let's do that now. Let's go to our reports. Let's go to reports. Let's create a new report. And this time, let's do a contacts and accounts report to find some contacts that are missing data. So here is a preview of my contacts and accounts report. I'm going to go to my filters and I'm going to make sure that this first filter that says show me is set to all accounts. Remember, we want that to be as expansive as possible. And then the created date is going to be equal to all time for the range. So here are my contact filters. I'm going to add contact one email. Let's say contact one email equals blank. And let's say contact two also equals blank. Contact two email also equals blank. And now this is showing me all of the accounts that are missing contact one and two emails. And let's also add is member on our filter as well. So we have members. Is member, let's say, is true. Here we go. So this is all of my member accounts where the contact one and two emails are missing. So both emails are missing here. So obviously you could change these filters if you only wanted contact one missing emails or contact two missing emails. Now let's take a look at a different report. So let's make another new report. Let's discard this one. Let's say I wanted to look for an account without transactions in the past 6 months. I'm going to do a new report. And for this, I'm going to select accounts as the type of report. Let's say for the columns, I would like to have the account name, and let's add the contact one, and let's add the contact two, and let's add their total remaining balance. And then let's go to our filters over here. I want to see all accounts. So I'm changing that filter to all accounts. Created date is going to be all time. Now here, I'm going to add a cross filter. So to add a cross filter to this, next to the word filters here, I'm going to click on this drop down arrow and click add cross filter. I'm going to select accounts, let's say without, let's say transactions, and apply that. And then let's add a filter for the without transactions cross filter here. So we're going to say the transaction type let's say equals posted payment. And let's add another transaction filter. Let's say the date. Let's say last 6 months. So we can select a date that is within the last 6 months, or we could use a relative date, such as last 6 months. And then we can apply. And then let's run. So this includes everybody without a transaction of a posted payment in the last 6 months. And I could further filter this if I wanted to. If they have, you see, if they have a balance of 0, then it's okay that it might be okay that they haven't made a payment in the last 6 months. So if I wanted to further filter this, I could add a filter to this report to say that the total remaining balance is greater than 0 as well. So let's do that. Let's edit. And let's add a filter. And notice we added that up here on the regular filters. So total remaining balance greater than 0. And let's just run this. Here are all of the accounts without posted payments in the last 6 months. And this includes everybody with a total remaining balance that is greater than 0. So let's go back to our slide deck. And now let's take a look at bucketing. So you can use bucketing in Congregation Connect to create custom bucket groups to further analyze data. You can use these buckets as a filter or for field grouping. We can create groupings based on the data that you have in the system with bucketing. And this can be used in a variety of scenarios, but let's take a look at it in our database now to get a better sense of how we would use this. To demonstrate buckets, let's create a new report of all contacts, let's say with their ages. So I'm going to do contacts and accounts report. And for the columns, let's do first name, last name. We'll keep account name. Let's do add a column for date of birth. Age. And contact type. Okay. And under our filters, let's make sure we have all accounts selected. Let's make sure our created date is all time. Let's also say his member is true. And we can also say contact type not equal to deceased. So here we go. Here are our contacts. And we can, if we wanted to sort by account name, let's just run this. And this shows me every contact in my system with their ages that's not deceased and is a member. And then let's take a look at the age grouping. So we have this sorted by account, and let's add a bucket column. So let's edit this report. Let's say we want to group these or add a bucket column by age. So under columns here on the outline, if I click on the drop-down arrow here, I can add a bucket column. Here it says edit bucket column. Let's call the bucket name age group. And let's select our field. In the top left, we're selecting age here. Here we have the range. So less than or equal to, we'll say 0. We'll say no age. Greater than 0. Greater than 0 to 1, let's say baby. Let's say greater than 1 to 5, let's say toddler. Let's say greater than 5 to 12, child. Greater than 12 to 17, we'll say teen. And then let's say greater than 17 is adult. So here we're going to click apply. And then let's run the report. And now we have this bucket column for age group. And if we want to sort by this field, we can. And we see the age group column here. So here we have no age, toddler, child, teen, and adults. And if we wanted to, we can also group rows by this field. Here we see the age group on the left-hand side, and we have it grouped by age as well. So this is how you use a bucket column to just sort your data on the report. So that is bucketing in Congregation Connect.